Is this thing on? I believe. Hello. Testing. 1, 2, 3. How's it going?
Going.
Yeah, I feel that. Oh, we got a new thumbnail for this video. Sorry, I'm just getting set up on things. Really on top of it today. Yeah, what's up, dude? Happy Thursday.
Yep.
Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back, one and all, to another episode of the Mike Medlin Scratch League, or Mike Medlin Draft Scratch League, presented by Ebonite and In the Zone Pro Shops. I think I got it all right. With, of course, myself. I'm James, aka Shimwrecker, and then my lovely. Well, I guess you're the host and I'm the co-host technically, since it's your channel. But obviously, just above me is the man, the myth, the legend, Luke Rosedal himself. We are back here. We've only got 4 more of these to do, man.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap, this has gone by fast. But yeah, we're here to talk a little bit about the Scratch League. We had week 30 last week. Tonight is week 31 of 34, and then we get to find out how much money we lost in the league this year. So, hopefully.
I was talking to Jonathan about that, and since we went from $30 we went from $25 a week to $30 a week.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. It used to be 25. Now it's 30, and only like $1 of that went to lineage. So
let's go.
$4.
Our prize fund is going to be pretty nice, especially with we're still leading the league by about a week or so in total points on the year.
Mm-hmm.
Which that is some of the payout is just based on how many points you win for the course of the season.
Yeah.
So that, like, being the points winner, I think is really the best path to success financially as a team. So, but yeah, I guess let's take a look at standings first, because I think our situation has remained the same, but also changed slightly since last week. So after week 29, excuse me, which was 2 weeks ago, we were sitting in 11th at 190 and a half, which put us, what is that, about basically a full week behind third, and a week and a half out of, like, almost close to a week and a half out of first.
Yeah.
We had a pretty good night last week, and we can talk a little bit more about the night as a whole in a minute, but we took 24. Our gap to first stayed about the same. What is that, 42 right now?
Mm-hmm.
So, first is out of reach. Second is a huge ask. Even getting to third might be tough. But I mean, we're sitting here at 214 and a half in ninth, 17 back of fourth, who were bowling tonight. Oh, and we also bowl 7th in the last week of the year. And we haven't bowled 8th yet either. Yeah. So we bowl. This
second, 4th, 8th, and 7th and 8th.
Our end of the year is just freaking brutal. We got Crouch tonight, who's in 4th. We got Zach's team next week that's in 8th. Then Trevor's team is in 2nd, and actually they might end up passing us for team total pinfall on the year before the half is out. And then end the season with Russ on, I think, 7 and 8, if I remember right. So it's a gauntlet, but it's a fun gauntlet.
Well, what happened at the end of last half is that we kind of limped to the finish line, but so did everybody else that was in like the top 10. Like, we kept having these 11, 12, or we didn't have. I mean, we weren't getting 25 a week like we had done for so long. We got beat up a couple times and had some not so great showings other times, but everybody else up there, because that's what happened to Jennings too, because it was us and them, 1-2 for the longest. They kept getting beat up, or every time we'd get 12 points, we'd look over there. I was like, well, they got 8 or 10 too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, our last 5 weeks of the first half, 22 against Yuri's team, 21 against Crouch, 4 against Zach, 22 and a half against Trevor, and 23 against Russ.
Oh,
so,
okay. So I guess
it was a solid end. That's 92 points in 5 weeks. That's still.
I must have been thinking like a few weeks ahead of that then, because there was a few, because we were just dominating everybody, and then we had a couple rough weeks.
I think you're thinking of the start of the second half.
No, because I remember looking at everybody else, or maybe it was everybody else that was having, like, we were continuing to do, because we were watching how everybody else was doing, and maybe it was everybody else that had a rough end of the
I think that was it more
season.
than anything else. Yeah, because I mean, we went what is that? 17 weeks. We lost 3 and tied 2. Less. We went 12-2-3 was our match record by points on the half.
Mm-hmm.
And we lost 1 out of our last 6. 7. One out of our last 7. So, I mean, we took 144 points the last 7 weeks of the half.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I really do think I don't know if I'm looking at other graphery and wizardry and such.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's so much I think it was kind of looking at here. Can you take my screen share and make it full screen, because I actually have something that can kind of illustrate this.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. Yeah. So this is a graph. This is just points won for the first half only. You can see that we kind of kept on the path we were going. Yeah. And then second place, which was Jerry's team, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
They really kind of fell back, like it was us and then Jerry's team and then everybody else from basically week 8 on.
We had that
and
one,
and then
bad
Jerry
week.
fell back to it.
Yeah, we had that one bad week, and then otherwise, that
week 15 right here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we kind of, everybody else kind of excuse me, fell back a little bit, I feel like. So it kind of, the upper mid pack, I think we kind of stayed a little bit more clear of it last time, and now we're kind of smack in the middle of it. Which, if you go over here, we can go back to not full screen.
Okay.
So sweet. So if you look here, 231 Crouch in 4th, less than a week's worth of points gets you all the way down to 14th.
Yeah, looking at last.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you drop down and look at, it says the review of last week's bowling. I go back. Yeah, there was a bunch of big. There wasn't any close to anything. It was either you won 24 or 22 or more, or you lost them. And so we didn't make any ground up on Crouch. We didn't make any ground up on Rhodes. We didn't make any ground up on Wagner. We didn't make any ground up on anybody that we needed to make ground up on, really, aside for what Wilson, what did they get? 9 points.
Yeah.
So Tennyson got 9 points. But, I mean, it's one. Okay, so we make up ground on half the team.
We caught them a little bit. So, I mean, we caught – we needed to win and win pretty big last week to keep ourselves kind of in the hunt, because realistically, the money, if I remember right, is top 5 of each half gets an extra cash bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of, in my mind at this point, that's kind of if we can get there, awesome, but that's the goal, is just to get to top 5. Obviously winning is completely hilariously out of it's probably almost mathematically impossible, as I think about it, honestly, unless like Rob decides to average 120 the rest of the year. But
well, and there's no better way to make up a bunch of ground than to play who you need to beat. But there's no better way to, kind of knock yourself right back down if it doesn't work out.
We hold our fate in our own hands, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, and if you look at it too, Trevor's team shot 28-61 last week. Crouch's team shot 29-40, so they take over what I had thought was going to stand for us has now been beaten 3 times. We're not even on the.
It's been beaten 3 times in like 6
anymore.
weeks.
Yeah. We don't have a season high on the leaderboard anymore.
Yeah. And we Steelers 29-21. What week was that?
Yeah.
That was that's what we thought was going to hold for the season, has been beaten 4 times in the last 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Or 3 times, sorry. But still, that's slightly hilarious. It's, like you said, it is kind of a good position to be in, where we're bowling against teams that are ahead of us in the standings. That's our direct chance to kind of improve our position. But
Yeah, because you kind of
we have to win
control.
big to
You
capitalize
can,
on that. Yep.
yeah, it's a control your own destiny type of thing.
Yep. Which is good and bad.
But I don't. I mean, just looking, I don't. I don't know. This is just one of those weird things that I don't see any way that. So some teams you can point to and say, okay, well, depending on who's on the pair and what the matchups are and whatever else, and the teams that we're bowling aren't. I don't see any way than just bowling better than they do. I mean, which is the very basic point to it. But sometimes there's some matchup stuff. Like when we bowl Baumgartner, there's 5 people on the right and 3 people on the left. That could make it a little interesting.
Yeah.
Because the left side is
the left is gonna be fun.
It's going to transition faster. The right side's not going to transition as fast, and that could either be a good thing or a bad thing.
I disagree because they have Brent.
They do have Brent.
But yeah, no, it is. We have decent pair draws, I think, is one of the things that I'm actually really happy about with this. We've got Crouch on 11 and 12 this week.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Zach on 9 and 10. Wait, am I looking at the right thing? Then we go 13 and 14 against Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
And then is that 15 and 16 against Russell last week, I think?
That's fine.
That's decent pairs. I don't hate any of that. So kind of spending our time in the middle, upper end of the building, which I think we've done pretty well on those pairs. I feel like that's where we did a lot of our damage in the first half. I'm pretty sure.
So. Yeah, and I think get to how it went last week.
It was fun for everybody but me.
Yeah.
Shot 768 and took 1 point. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that it was just getting Jaden back kind of helped.
Yeah.
Just felt like the team again.
Yeah, exactly.
Really. And she kind of fell off the last couple of games, but I think we mostly had it well enough in hand that it wasn't. I was a few points lost there, but I don't think it really.
Yeah, I mean, I was locked out of it in my 10th frame before I even stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
Because Tyler finished first, and he had me covered 259, 258 max, and then I think I ball changed or something on my fill because I left something for 257, and then I think I had front 7 game 3, and then just grabbed I tried to take the inserts out of my ball without using a grip extractor tool.
Yeah.
And especially while throwing it straight at the hook spot on the lane that had more free hook to the right, that was. Yeah. I don't recommend that for those watching at home. Just FYI.
Realistically speaking, I mean, you stayed within 40 pins of somebody shooting 800, so
yeah,
that kept us out of hot water the last couple games, anyway, because it's really hard to. It's really hard to get past somebody shooting 800.
Yep. But no, I wasn't even. It's funny. I wasn't even really considering the idea of either of us shooting 800 necessarily. But I just, Tyler's a phenomenal bowler, and he's been. I feel like he's been bowling really well the last month and a half or so. He just set the house record at Aaron's a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of like, all right, time to cinch down my belt and tie up the boots extra tight and let's go to war. And that was kind of my mentality going in. And, I mean, I don't know that I had a whole lot more than 760 on that pair, honestly. I missed a 10 pin, but otherwise my bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's just some people you just kind of hope for the best against, or hope that they just don't shoot the world. And I'm going to end up being I think I'm pretty safely in the captain, especially with having Trevor and Johnny definitely not being back next year, because Johnny was right beneath me. He was the 18th.
Yeah, so you're based on that, you're 15th on the board right now.
I should be fairly comfortably in there now, and there's going to be times like that. where I'm just going to have to buckle up next year and try to, it's going to be one of those where if I'm bowling you or if I'm bowling Russ or Jay or any number of the other captains in the league, it's going to be one of those bowl well enough to keep the team in it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like get every pin you can and play for the team points more than
yeah. Which is again, that's a whole lot more than.
Yeah, that's worth 4 a game versus your individual.
Oh yeah, so, I'll give that up. I'll go 0-4 every single week if we can get the team games.
So little actually brings up an interesting philosophical question because I mean, there's a very depending on who's on the board, there's a possibility you might not be high average on your own team next year.
Yeah, that's probably going to be not to give away any draft picks, but I'd like to get Tobias the first round. Yeah. He would be on my list, and hopefully, again, I would like to stay at this. I mean, I'd like to shoot, 750. Yeah.
Shoot just enough to you just want to shoot just enough to be a captain.
Yeah, I would like to just shoot 700 even. Just put me on the board for that, and I've already got my games in, so I'm just going to take the rest of the year off. And stay in this spot
no. We need to win games here, dude. Come on.
So I can stay in the right place to suck for luck.
Yeah, suck for luck. I'm looking at the captain's list real quick. You're 15th right now at 222.69. Yeah. 16th is Jesse at 22.21. And then Jeff White and Kevin Burrell round out the top 18. Kevin's up to 221.04. And Jeff is 21.61. And then first out at the moment is Alex Hardman at 219.88. So realistic, I think Alex is kind of your stay ahead of him marker for the rest of the year.
But and I don't
making a good run at it. Yeah,
I don't think I'm going to have any trouble doing that because something did finally get to the point where I think I'm close enough to where I'm not going to have any more of those 560, 580 weeks or anything like that. Yeah. I'm not fighting stuff that bad anymore. I might have a rough week and shoot 650 or something. Yeah. Or when we're bowling Trevor, that might be a little interesting, but
you're back to throwing it good enough that damage limitation is a lot easier.
Yeah. So at 220, I'm looking at 660 really, and if I can stay at 640 or something, my average just isn't going to move. And everybody else at this late in the year, at 660, they're going to have to be shooting 720 every week to catch up.
Yeah, it's like
that didn't even gain him a point a week, and there's only 4 weeks left. So
yeah, exactly. Tyler and I was talking with Tyler Gromlovitz, who's now up to second in average after he shot 800 against me, and my lead on him is like 5 1/4. And it's like he could shoot 810 every week the last 4 weeks, and if I hold station, he doesn't catch me.
Yeah,
so it's just you're getting into like. A lot of these captains, 87, 75, 90, 87, 90, 84, 78, 90, 69, 78, 72. You get that many games in, it's hard to move your average. Because just from the law of averages. So go figure. But.
Yeah, and I think that everybody that knows Tobias and would draft him is going to be drafting after me anyway. I don't know who Jeff White would draft. I don't know. I mean, Keeler's going to be on the board, so Jeff might pick up Steve. I would, and that's the other thing is I might pick up Steve too. That I'd like, because what is he at 215 or something? I'd definitely pick up
Steve. 218.67 right now.
Okay,
but he is surging right now.
I'd pick up Alex Hardman too.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. I'm going to be gritting my teeth so hard in the draft. I've probably got a list of like 7 or 8 guys that I would really like to have one of them as my 3-hole. And the more I think about it, the more I'm not liking the odds of any of them making it to me.
Yeah. And there's some, I mean, there's a lot of them that keep it in play. I mean, Jonathan's going to be on the board. Noah, I still think Noah's got more than 211 in him.
Oh yeah. No, that feels like I drafted him at 09 and I was figuring that was like his floor.
And I think especially since he's already bowled with us now, because he always says when he gets on a new team, he always gets a little nervous. But having bowled with both of us, plus he bowled with my daughter in high school, and so I've known him and drilled stuff for him for a long time. Yeah, they're about the same age.
So you guys go way.
So yeah, I've known Noah for a long time.
Yeah,
and I helped put away the guy that killed his mom too. So we want to get the
That might be a story for
yeah,
Breakdown Pair Uncensored
to
sometime.
get really dark really fast.
Yikes! That was not where I
And
saw this stream going.
we're definitely not laughing about that, but
Yeah,
he sees the positive side of.
Yeah.
I don't know how I ended up on that jury panel, but
magic. Yeah,
whatever.
it happens.
But
yeah,
anyway,
I guess to kind of bring it back to the bowling a little bit. Angel threw her violent most of the night, right?
yeah,
If I remember correctly. Yeah, I felt like she was bowling really well, and then just like
she
the
just
mid lane just went from there to like completely non-existent game 3, and I think she just never really caught up to that.
well, and I think it was less than that is that she hasn't had a decent set pretty well all year, and she had 480 after 2, and she started thinking about it a little bit too much, and then she had like the front 2 or 3, and then she left a 3-6, and the pin setter put it back down with the pins a little further apart, and I'm going before she even throws it, I'm like, please don't chop it, please, because that's the kind of thing that happens to her all the time.
Yeah.
She chopped it, of course,
and her spare ball hooked like way more than normal too, and she chopped 3 spares that game.
Yeah, and so it just kind of devolved. Yeah, she chopped 2 spares, and so
it 2 of them. Yeah,
it just, or yeah, maybe it might have been 3.
It was 2 or 3. She hooked off of a 10 pin at one point as well, I think.
But yeah, it just devolved from as soon as she chopped that 3-6, then it just devolved from there.
Yeah,
but she did throw a lot of really good shots and shot 480 the first couple games, and luckily for us, we survived their first game because
we hung on. Yeah,
you shoot 930, and you're winning.
You're winning most of them.
Yeah, if you put 930 up on the board, I'll take that every single game.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I would bet large amounts of money.
Would you stake a Klondike bar on that?
Yep, okay. I would, and I like my ice cream.
Yeah, Crystal ended up. She had to miss. I think Adam had something going on that she had to help out with. Or something.
She was there. She just didn't get there in time to bowl, and she didn't want to.
She didn't want to shoe up in the middle of it. Yeah,
walk in cold. I'd be in the same. So it just, especially, just take her average and don't mess with it. So, and it wouldn't have changed anything.
Tyler just texted me and said, "Talk about the gutter."
Yeah.
Tyler, say that in the stream chat, you coward.
Yeah, we had a chance to sweep the first game, and I was throwing my theorem, and it was just strike, flat 7, strike, flat 7, flat 7, whatever else. And I'm like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I know it's the ball. I just got to tweak something to get it through the pins the right way. I got it figured out towards the end of the game. I struck 7th, 8th, 9th. I think I could have had the back 6. Yeah. And Yuri was just beating me the entire game, but he got tapped a couple times at the end of the game and made it to where I could get close to him. And then I had him by a pin the whole time. He struck out in the 10th, and I had the final shot. So he struck, I struck, he struck, I struck.
Yeah.
And then
he struck and you hit the gray board.
Yeah. I went through the mental checklist, and I'm like, okay, don't get slow. Cause most of the time when I need something, I slow down, and then that screws my timing, and I get grabby. And so I'm like, okay, well, keep everything in time, blah, blah, blah. And then the coordination just took a dump on me. And it was just one of those things that wrong everything, wrong time. Oops.
Yeah. It honestly, it made me step off the approach twice.
Yeah, I mean,
it honestly, until you let go of it, I thought it was a good shot.
And that's the weird thing. It came off my hand. It's kind of like, oh, well, what the hell happened there? Because I didn't throw a single other shot that night anywhere close to that bad. Yeah. And so it was,
but it's just, that's kind of coming back to the whole righty boomer trying to be a lefty coordination stuff you were talking about earlier, I think.
Yeah, it just, the coordination, everything shorted out for just the one shot. And then, of course, I aced 90% of them the last 2 games.
Yeah, you come back and shoot 490 the back too. That's
yeah. And Yuri said, he's like, well, I don't want to be a forward, but what happened on that last shot? And I'm like, well, I mean, I threw it in the ditch. At some certain point, I mean, people, you can get like upset and pissy about it, and obviously it's, especially when you have a chance to step up and win the game, and then you just throw it in the gutter. It's like there's all kinds of ways that you can look at that, and just imagining everybody else snickering or going, "Oh boy," or one of those things like. It just sucks to have that kind of stuff happen, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I mean, it happened, and you can either be all pissy and grumpy about it, or you should just say, "As I don't know."
No, I actually had a similar thing happen. I didn't throw it in the gutter, but this was one of the times when I was defending my UBA heavyweight belt back in the Carolinas. It was a best 4-7 match. I was up 3-1. End of game 5, I needed like strike 8 to win 4-1. That would have got me like 247.
Mm-hmm.
Bang bang, 2 absolute no doubters, and then I just go up and just like punch myself in the back of the forehead and get 5 through the middle. And UBA is like, it's not even the same. Like it's so different from anything you bowl here. Of like it's loud. There's a lot of people watching me. It's late at night. The adult beverages are flowing, so to speak. If you get my drift. And it was like the entire center was like, "Oh my goodness!" And I'm just like, that happened. And I came back and shot 260 the next game to win the match. So,
and realistically speaking, I mean, something like that happened to Belmo at the Masters. Yeah. I mean, all he needed was a mark. He basically got it gift wrapped, and all he needed was a mark. And everybody's like, "Throw your spare ball straight down the middle and pick the mark." I mean, because he didn't even really need good count. He needed a mark.
He needed to feel like 14 or something stupid like
that. And then he threw it out the window. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
it happens to literally everybody.
He kept it on the lane. But Del Ballard, I mean, there's as bad as it can be, there is nothing. Del Ballard needed to keep it on the lane, and that's one of the most famous things. But my gutter won't be on TV and social media for the next 50 years. So,
if I had been recording that one for YouTube, it would be technically.
But nobody cares about me. Del Ballard, somebody. It happened 35 years ago, and we're referencing it right now. So how bad is that?
Okay, this is a fair point. While I'm thinking about it, I am going to go ahead and post this in the stream chat because we were bowling John and Crouch's team tonight. And it's a nice segue to talk about tonight. I will be live streaming. Yeah, I will be live streaming. I can't talk and type at the same time.
Yep, trying to make him nervous. Trying to use psychological warfare.
Oh, absolutely. Because if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Right after they shot 29-40 last week.
Daniel, front 10, hit his calf, gutter spare for 280.
Jonathan did
that. Will play. John shot 270 last week.
Yeah, 270 at the singles.
Front 8 gutter spare sheet.
Yeah.
It happens. I mean, a friend of mine had a 13 strike 270. He fouled in the 5th frame, made the spare and sheet. So it happens.
Yeah.
I guess that is a nice segue, and we've been talking a long time for about not a whole lot of stuff, I feel like. But we are bowling the locals, I guess, or the locals for you, I think, is the best way to describe this team. Because Norm, Baton, Hawes, Crouch, they all live in and around Topeka. And so,
Norm's the only one he's from Hawaii, but he lives in Topeka now. And so John grew up in Topeka. Jonathan grew up, or Baton grew up in Topeka. Jonathan grew up in Kansas City, but he
lives in Topeka.
He's been in Topeka he's been around. I mean, the area, it's close enough.
I count him as a Topeka.
And Jason's been in Topeka his whole life, I think.
Yeah. So this is another of those teams that I think is sort of like Trent Overby's team, where it's really even top to bottom, and they're just gonna be a tough out. And I mean, Crouch almost shot 8. Crouch shot 799 last week.
Yeah,
they shot 2999 or whatever the heck they shot. I don't know. They shot a freaking bajillion.
They're
going to be a tough out. So
there are 2 things about this matchup.
Okay.
uh, Norm Brewster is kind of hot and cold.
Yep.
If the track gets torn up, if he has the track to throw at, he doesn't
He
miss.
won't
I mean,
miss.
he
Yeah.
keeps it in play so well
Yep.
from right up second arrow that if he has that all night, he's going to hurt you. If it starts to go away or things start to get choppy, then he gets into trouble. Baton has the same thing going on that Zach Rhodes does, is that he's been bowling a lot more regionals.
Yeah.
And so he's built what he does in his game and everything. It's like if he has a bad couple weeks in league because he's trying to not develop a league game. He's trying to keep his regional game up.
Yeah.
And you might say, okay, well, the guy bowls regionals, but he averages 213. Well, he does fairly well at most of the regionals. He makes cuts and cashes.
He cashes regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. And Zach Rhodes is the same thing. When you bowled with him on Saturday, he just had air. I've never seen somebody have such a big handful of air.
It was. I'm pretty sure it was an entire like dump truck full of air.
Yeah, I mean, he had a hot air balloon full of air. I mean,
hot air balloons are actually functional. Unlike
he
his
could have
ball
been
reaction.
flying around like up with as much air as he had
oh my gosh
on Saturday. Yeah. And Zach's a really good bowler.
Yeah.
Things just don't translate.
It doesn't translate to house shots sometimes.
It doesn't translate to house shots.
Yeah.
Very well. And yeah, there's some bowlers that are really good on tougher conditions, tougher patterns. You give them a little bit of, you make it tough and they're really good, and then all of a sudden you make it easy and they suck. Well, it's like I can completely understand and explain that. Yep. And Baton's kind of the same way. So if Norm and Baton have an off week together, and but Noah's had some 560 weeks too. So he's just come in and
I don't see this being a 560 week though, like at least from a lane play perspective.
Yeah, now that we got Jaden back again, and I think the team chemistry is once again complete.
Back in a happier spot at least, yeah.
But that would be the only thing that I could see make this go one way or the other. If Norm and John are hitting the pocket most of the time, it's going to be tough. Yep. So I think it more boils down to them, because Jonathan's going to show up. Our team's going to show up. Jonathan's going to show up, and Jason's going to show up. Yeah. And it just depends on which Norm and which Baton show up.
Yeah.
Is really, really what it amounts to.
Yeah.
I think.
I could see that for sure.
And I think this is going to be if this goes for more than 20 point, I don't think it's going to be close necessarily. I think it's going to be a more than 20 point week for one team or the other.
I was going to say I don't think it's going to be more than 22 one way or the other.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I could see it going either. Like I can't call the match though. Is the problem?
Yeah, I don't know which way it's going to go.
The problem, my main concern is Crouch has senior carry now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I get to bowl against senior carry tonight.
Yeah, Tyler. Not sure if you noticed this, but I felt like Crouch's team transitioned to the pair better than almost every team in the league. I would buy that because they have Norm and Jonathan play the track. Crouch is a little bit inside of them. Baton's a little bit inside of them. And so, yeah, everything is, they kind of feed it to the right spot. They're not, they don't destroy the pair too much one way or the other. Baton doesn't get like super, he doesn't get like Brent Kuhlman deep.
Would you believe me if I told you they have the second lowest average against in the entire league this season?
Well, probably just looking at their averages on paper, nothing about that.
No. Average against, not average.
Well,
pinfall against, they have the second lowest in the league.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The average against, that would explain why they are higher up in the standings based on what their team averages are, because I think their team average is kind of middle of the pack.
No, their team average is fourth.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm just looking at ours, and
I think we're skewing it a little bit.
Artificially skewing the numbers.
Well, a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
11, 13, 18, 26. Their team average is 868, which is on the higher end of what was drafted.
But yeah, they keep it it in play, and they don't give a whole lot of stuff away.
They're a tough out, but not to Like, I'm not trying to diminish it, but like their average against is a pin and a half below league average.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But I mean,
yeah,
you get that, you take it. I mean, I'd take it.
yeah, exactly. No, and I would too. And I mean, like our average against is slightly above league average. But like if you give us their strength of schedule or their matchups, but I mean, I
But I
don't
mean,
know. I could see it sometimes. I could not see it other times. I could see Tyler saying that because he likes to just get 2 arrows left for everybody.
it'd be really good for Tyler.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't really see.
It's hard as a team to bowl up to put up monsters against. Having Baton going around it so much more, I think that makes it hard to put up monster numbers, especially for higher rev rate groups.
Well, and I think what he's pointing at is that when you bowl those guys, the lane. I mean, there's some teams you bowl and the lanes just get destroyed. They just turn into a nightmare in a heartbeat.
Ottawa. Sorry, I had a frog in my throat.
Yeah, and I don't really see that happening with them because of how they play it. Norman Haas are just straight up.
Yeah.
And
if you know how to work
a little bit left of
transition,
it.
yeah, if you know how to work transition against another team, then I could totally see that. But
yeah,
that is very interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that their pinfall against was that low.
But yeah, their team makeup is really good. It's kind of how our team makeup's pretty good too. Of course, I don't bowl against us, but I wouldn't imagine that because Jaden and Noah play further right and you're by yourself, even having a higher rev rate, I don't really think that you by yourself.
I get to do my own thing a little bit more, but I mean, if I'm throwing a little bit of surface, that could definitely have an impact, especially for a power tweener type guy.
And we've had some numbers shot against us too. It doesn't normally. It's not normally like it. Just everything just devolves into madness and disappears. I mean, Tyler shot 800. Tyler got 800 against us last week. So
yeah, jerk. Yeah, nice. What's our lead on total pin? Oh, geez, Trevor's almost caught us. Our lead is down to 143 pins for the.
They're really close.
Yeah, for team pinfall over Trevor.
And Eric's almost at 240 now.
He's at 35, I think.
39.
34.99. Yeah.
Yeah,
Eric's been going crazy the last month or so. Last 6 weeks. This entire half, I feel like. Like he figured out how to bowl in Royal, and now he's just like, okay, here I come.
I really hope that they don't end up first for the half because they would want to bowl for it.
Yeah.
Anybody else, Rob's going to be like, no, screw it. Well, I don't know. Trevor, I don't know if Trevor wants to bowl it. They would agree to bowl for it, but I don't think anybody wants to bowl for another 3 hours for an extra $50 a piece. It's like, okay, we'll take the 25 and 25 is more than you could have. And bowling for the extra 25 that's really what you're bowling for. You're not bowling for 50 because if you're going to split it, otherwise you're bowling for 25. You're bowling 3 more hours for $25. No, thank you.
Yeah. Pretty much. So, anywho, to kind of put a bow on it before we get out of here, we are on 11 and 12 tonight, which is kind of pretty well middle of the pack, average wise.
That
5 through. Sorry, go ahead.
That graph got weird.
Yeah, it's gotten really weird.
There's 3 distinctly high-scoring pairs, and everywhere else has kind of dropped off. It used to kind of crest in the middle, and
yeah, there have been a few pretty rough nights on 11 and 12, especially this half. So, a little bit of a guessing game. I have historically liked this pair, though. 11 usually is a little more laterally cliffed on the right side versus 12 is kind of a little more blended and almost washy. So, I have to make sure I manage that properly, but otherwise, it should be a fun time. And yeah, like I said, it'll be live on YouTube in about 5 hours.
Yeah.
Anywho, any changes to the bag this week? I know you just had a couple of videos go live. Any of the new stuff from Brunswick making it this week?
The Kaboom's making it because that's going to be something that I can, again, if the theorem's a little too forward or a little too fast, a little too much, period, the Kaboom is I'm going to carry that around quite a bit. I'm leaving the conspiracy, the new radical conspiracy, the black one. I'm leaving that out because I had that in last week. So it's going to be Kaboom, Theorem 3.0, and Covert Revolt.
Oh, no Summit.
Yeah, no Summit.
Okay. I don't hate that though.
Yeah, I don't. It just the way that I'm kind of throwing it right now. It's
the Summit hasn't really looked like it.
Not since I made some I made a few little adjustments, and right now I'm feeling more comfortable with boomier stuff.
Yeah,
stuff that I can just kind of pop my hand out of and send the theorem. And
Pepper Doggos. Oh, we have Pepper Doggos.
Yeah, it's 1:30. You guys normally go out. Dogs are crazy because they normally get to go out about this time every Thursday because I get done with the show about this time every Thursday. And so they know that as soon as we're done with the show, they get to go outside.
Yeah.
And so they just.
Wait, does that mean I get to go outside too? Actually, it is a nice day outside.
You go outside, Buck?
Bike. Yeah. Might go ride my bike and hopefully not faceplant.
Yeah, it's a nice day out there.
Yeah.
I've got the house opened up. So
nice.
Missy too.
Cool. Well, yeah, I guess for myself, not really any changes to the bag. You know, everything's working, so why change it? So 3.0, my kind of shined up NV Tour, Theorem, Hustle Camo in case they get really weird in a plastic ball. So
yeah,
and honestly, if I need more than that in this league, then something has gone horribly wrong. So
yeah,
at that point, it's just kind of like, okay, let's just figure it out and come back next week. So
yeah, I will, and we'll see how much longer the Covert Revolt stays in there because that would be my Summit place. We will see.
Okay.
If I need something, because I think on a few nights I am going to need something a little bit smoother, and the Summit blends the lane out more front to back than the Covert does.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And so it depends on what happens with the Kaboom tonight. And of course, I've been throwing the Theorem pretty well exclusively anyway for a while now, and so it's just all the rest of the balls are kind of somewhat redundant at this point until the Theorem just.
Until you wear the Theorem out and draw a fresh one, then just lather, rinse, and repeat.
Isn't the ball, and I mean the Kaboom might be even better because it's a little bit longer and it's a little bit slower, and that's the one thing that I fight with the Theorem sometimes. It's a little too fast, a little too much, a little too forward, and that it being a little forward plus being a little strong and a little fast, it's harder for me to blend out. So the Kaboom's a little bit longer, a little bit more naturally blendy, and so I think it fits me a little bit better, but we'll see. What actually works.
You might end up selling me on one of those. Who knows?
Yeah. We'll see.
Although I don't have any problem with my Theorem straightening out on anything ever. So.
Yeah, and that's really the thing is that if I can get it to blend, it's just so fast. The friction response is what makes it forward. Because I didn't have a problem after the first game. Once I got it to blend, I didn't have a problem, and it being a little forward actually kind of keeps it from completely breaking loose.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
So yeah, if I can get it to round out, I'm in good shape.
Yeah.
So
cool. Well, it has been fun, and I guess we will see y'all on my channel. Don't forget to go over and subscribe. Shimwrecker Enterprises just dropped a chat again. Yep. And that will start around 6:50 p.m. Central Time when practice starts. So, hope to see y'all there. Until then.